Hello, I'm Eden Batisher, your enrolled agent with Paramount Tax and Accounting, demystifying income taxes one question at a time. Just a reminder, in these brief videos, I cannot cover all nuances of any credit or deduction. I'm addressing primary considerations. If you have questions about your unique situation beyond what I've addressed, you should absolutely talk with a tax advisor like myself or other EAs or CPAs. So today's question builds off of Tuesday's discussion of deductions and credits. Should you take the home office deduction? And if you do, will it trigger an audit? If you're not self-employed or have a self-employment side hustle like rental properties or consulting, the answer is a very simple no. Think about this from the perspective of the IRS. If you're working from home, that's a benefit to your employer who doesn't have to pay for an office or utilities for you. Since they benefit, your employer ought to cover the expenses of your home office. Pretty simple. If, however, you are self-employed, then yes, of course you can claim the deduction. More importantly, you should. I've had clients say that they don't want to do it because it will trigger an audit. But here's the reality about audits. First, sometimes they just happen. But the other reality is if you're reporting everything appropriately, this is a 100% legitimate deduction. You're not doing yourself any favors by not taking it if you're reporting everything appropriately. It really only hurts you. But you do have to know and understand the requirements for the home office deduction if you're going to take it. Because, as with all credits and deductions, the stipulations are particular. So to deduct the home office must be exclusively used for business purposes. That means you can't have an Xbox at your desk on which you play Fortnite after hours. It also means you can't have shelves that hold and store your children's playthings. Exclusive business use is just that. That said, exclusive use space does not mean there has to be walls. So in the case of your children's playthings, if you subtract the square footage of your kids' storage, you're covered. Easy peasy. Alternatively, if you only have a corner of a room dedicated solely to your home office, you can determine the square footage of that exclusive use space in the corner of the room. Now here come the weeds if they interest you. There are two ways to take a home office deduction, but let's start with the simple calculation. The simple deduction method gives you a deduction of $5 per square foot of exclusive use space up to 300 square feet, which is not a small home office. Therefore, the simple deduction is capped at $1,500. The more complicated method, and the one typically more beneficial to your tax bottom line, is to calculate direct expenses for your home office and then separately those for your home. Why home expenses? Well, the full amount of expenses that pertain only to your office, such as propane for a propane heater in your office or replacing an exterior window in your office, those contribute dollar for dollar to your home office deduction. Meanwhile, expenses that pertain to the entire house, rent, mortgage interest, real estate taxes, internet, heating, electricity, replacing the roof, homeowner's insurance, etc., also contribute to your home office deduction, but only the proportion that pertains to the home office. So your office is 200 square feet and your house is 2,000 square feet. The office is 10% of the house. Therefore, 10% of these home expenses are deductible as home office expenses. Most tax software will actually do this for you if you enter the square footage of your office and your house. You do need both. Now, if you use a tax preparer, they also can determine the deduction if you provide the expenses and the appropriate square footage. So I hope that answered the big questions you might have about whether you can or should take the home office deduction. And please, as I've said before, in the comments below, if you have questions that you would like us to address, please include them below so we can make sure we are answering your questions. See you next Tuesday.